All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I'm Is There No One Else? And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the chapter reveal, the pre-chapter reveal that's coming out tomorrow, and just my kind of hopes to see what happens with the Elder Scrolls Online for 2023. So I've done quite a few videos in the last couple months relaying different discussions I've had with other players through YouTube, through Discord, my experiences as a player. And honestly, if you're watching this video at this point, you already know, or if you've watched my content, you already know that ESO is not in a great place right now. It's probably at its lowest point. It doesn't mean it's going to continue to go down and down and down. They can turn it around. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because obviously, the chapter reveal is going to kick off the start of the year. We're going to kind of see more of an outline of what it's going to be. But I wanted to talk about what I'm hoping to see, because I'm currently not playing. I have not played ESO since October. As you guys know, Update 36, there was nothing new to come to it. It was the same as Update 35. I already played Update 35. And it just gave me a chance to play other games. And on top of that, as you guys know, performance has started to decline even on PCNA. I have a couple people I talked to, a couple streamers, Imperial and React Faster, who are both former Xbox players, and they were both saying that the latest update has Xbox level lag. And so I've experienced that. I've seen the performance or lack of performance, the likes of which you guys have never seen before. I know what this is. I know what that's like. I just don't want to engage in it. And so I'm hoping it switches. I'm hoping that they make some good changes. And so I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about this. I wanted to talk to you guys about how I will be covering things. I'll be going over the PTS and stuff. And just kind of want to highlight what I want to see as a veteran player. So let's dive into it. Number one, performance changes. I want to see performance go back to where it was, or even better than it was in the spring and the summer. They did the hardware update for PCNA, and performance was awesome for a good 4 months, 5 months, where I was playing in Greyhost primetime hours, almost no lag at all. Like for three different chapters, it was really, really nice. Spring, summer, and fall, it was really nice. And then it just got slowly worse in the fall and into the winter. And so the hardware update definitely made a noticeable change. It didn't last forever. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if there's something else that's kicking in place. I do think it's kind of interesting that performance kind of coincided with Mara's Balm being introduced and popularized. Mara's Balm is an armor set that does checks on how many debuffs and dots are applied to you. And if you guys remember, CP 1.0 was changed because the CP system was constantly running checks in the background about whether or not it should fire off all these different passives. And Mara's Balm is running all these different checks to figure out if it should be firing off heals. And so, I don't know. I'm not a developer, but I do think that's kind of interesting. And the entire lineup kind of coincides with performance and that set being popularized. So it could be something else, but that's something I would be looking at myself if I was a developer and seeing if there's something there. But regardless, the hardware updates are coming in the spring, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens to you console players on Xbox and PC, and obviously the PC EU guys, if performance is going to improve, and all those sorts of things. So that'll be a good step to get players back into the game on those platforms. Now, the other thing with performance, and I've had this discussion with other people as well, is people want to talk about how Elder Scrolls is a top 5 game, and it's one of the best games, MMOs out there. It's not one of the best MMOs if it doesn't work, guys. Like I can have the nicest car in my driveway, and if it can't get out of my driveway, then it's just not a car. Like it has to functionally work. And so hoping those changes come in. That will help a lot for retention. It definitely helped for retention on PCNA, and as performance waned, you saw less and less people in the fall, to a point to where it was really hard for me to find fights. There was times where I would stream primetime on Friday nights, and even in Greyhost, the population was just declining faster and faster every weekend. And so some of it is discontent with where the chapters are, and some of it's just performance, And so performance improvements will definitely go a long ways towards getting people back. Obviously, that's not the only thing. I definitely want to see some veteran quality of life changes. Now, if you guys watch other content creators, Nephis did a video a couple months ago talking about how they had a sit down with a couple of developers, and they were talking about their retention and what's going on. And, you know, the developers, according to this discussion, were very well aware of retention in the game and how ESO just doesn't, you know, retain veteran players. And they're looking at ways to fix it. And so I think that's awesome that they're taking the first step. Obviously, I want to see it, but I figured this would be a good time to talk about my ideas and really easy ones that they could do and they could incorporate that would go a long way towards retention. And so I think the biggest thing is coming from and listening to a lot of the community and voicing my own opinion on this. There's been this disconnect with players and the development team for a while. They just don't really listen to feedback on things, and they do their own thing. And it'd be fine if they did their own thing, if it was like super popular and everybody was like, okay, you know what? You're absolutely right here. You were right last time. We're going to, you know, trust you on this. But it feels like each DLC for the last year has been worse than the previous one. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or anything like that. It's just one of those things where it's like it just keeps getting worse and worse, and they're just expecting it to get better, and that's not the case. And so there's a lot of things that they could do. We already know that they're toning back content, which I think is fine if they're going to increase performance like they say they're going to in the fall, outside of the hardware update. But there's other things that they could do as well. And a couple of the things would be like flesh out dueling a little bit more. Just as an example, like there's a dueling community in ESO where people go into Stormhaven and they queue up for duels. You can do a battleground style queue up system for dueling. You can have your own little mini arenas. Like look at how popular Elden Ring is, for instance, in this regard. You could do group dueling. Like New World has group v group dueling where you can queue up. There's no reason you can't do this. And on top of this, and I know this is a new system, and so this would be a longer ways away, but we're going to start with the bigger ones first. But this type of thing of like, hey, we recognize that there's a community for this. If we created a leaderboard system with actual ranks, with where people could measure where they rank in the dueling system based off wins and losses and kills, and you know how they fare versus Nightblades, Templars, whatever their record versus different classes, I think that'd be really cool. I think it would raise a discussion among the duelers. And so you often have these things where like it would be out there and people could actually discuss who the best duelers are. And that discussion would fuel more controversy and it would keep people in the game because, you know, in-game controversy is fine as long as it's not super toxic. And so I think that'd be a really good thing. As far as battlegrounds go, battlegrounds right now are based off of time in game. It's not based off of your overall skill in the game. It's based off of how many games you play and how many points you accrue and all these sorts of things. And so moving from no-lifing a game to providing, like, you don't have to change the system for rewards, but what you could do is you could add more to it. Like, look at Call of Duty lobbies. If you have a PvP style system, you could do PvP style stats. You could have kill-death ratio. You could have most average kills in a game, average deaths in a game, average damage, average healing in a game. And so you could have this and you could rank it. And you could have weekly rankings or monthly rankings or whatever, and you could have all-time rankings. And so people would then be able to compare, okay, who's the best healer in Battlegrounds? Who's doing the most healing in Battlegrounds? Who's doing the most damage? Who's got the most kills? These sorts of things. This sort of thing it's not creating a new system. It's not reinventing the wheel or anything like that. But what it is doing is it's fleshing out a system that has basically been untouched for 4 years now. Battlegrounds hasn't really been touched, revamped, overhauled for 4 years. And so you could just add these different types of stats to the game and it would make it so much better. Like it would make Battlegrounds and playing in Battlegrounds so much better, because then you'd be like, wow, now I actually have something to measure my character with. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to play 10 hours a day, 5 days a week to get top 10 on the leaderboards. But what I can do is when I do hop on and play Battlegrounds 1, 2, 3 hours a day, I can compare my averages versus some of the best players, and I could measure myself in that regard. and they can have the end game leaderboard rewards that way or whatever, but then you have something else to discuss. And I think those driving those discussions are valuable in the same way that making veteran trials leaderboard scores valuable in a similar way, I think would be very cool. And so you do the exact same thing for, BDSA, for trials, most damage done, most healing done. Those sorts of things drive discussions. And so I think that'd be very cool. Obviously, this has been talked about ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into it too much. The third thing would be better rewards. Most rewards in this game are really, really bad. Nefis has talked about it. Other content creators have talked about it. I've said it. Like, everybody knows that the veteran reward system is not good in this game. You don't get anything of value. And so going back and rehashing all the different content, and the thing is it's not changing all these systems. Like, they're working more on performance. These are things you can do where you can just go, hey, and instead of giving them gear, which is bad, not good gear, we could give gold mats, we could give purple mats, we could reward more gold, we could reward mounts, we could reward different armor styles, stuff like this. Like, you could change things up to where it would be a lot more valuable to do those things. And so you look at Battlegrounds rewards. When was the last time you kept a Battlegrounds reward, as an example? Like, you just don't do it because it's not worthy of keeping. And so these different reward structures, you can look at it through trials. Obviously, like Imperial City rewards, PvP rewards, like all these sorts of things. A better balance among what's in the Crown Store and what you can get in game would be better. Not that people don't want to pay for the Crown Store stuff, but when there's this big of a disparity, it just looks more and more like you're just cash grabbing instead of providing value to the players. And the players are responding in kind by, not wanting to stay in the game as long. And so your retention kills you. So these are the types of changes that I would definitely make. It's not outside of the dueling one, which is its own thing. Like, that's creating a new system, which is definitely something that they should look into doing once they fix performance. These other quality of life changes are just rehashing stats that they're already accruing. It's not that much extra effort. If they're gonna tone back content, you could do these things for veteran players, and you could do these things to make them happy. Other things are, giving us Poison Whip. Finally, I've been beating this drum. So many people have been beating this drum for years now, mostly as a joke, because it's eventually going to happen, guys. Like we're eventually going to get Poison Whip, and you might as well just do it this year. Like, you might as well just give us Poison Whip this year, because what does it hurt to give us what we want? Like, that's the point of view. And the thing is they're slowly shifting this way anyways. Like, you look at Molten Whip, they I think it was 2 to 3 years ago now, they said that they were never going to have a Poison Whip. That's what they said. And now Whip is hybridized. And so you can now use Whip as a stamina-based class. And now Molten Whip costs half stamina and half magicka. They're already going down this path to where more and more stamina-based classes can actually, like Stamina DK, can actually use Whip. Why not just make it green? Why not just give the players what they want? Like, you don't want to do it because basically you didn't come up with the idea and the players did, and so you want to do your own thing. But the reason you are where you are right now is because you decided to do your own thing. So maybe just caving in on some of these things that the players actually want would be good. And so once again, you change jabs. Like nobody wanted the jab animation changed. A large portion of the community wants stuff like Poison Whip, and it doesn't have to be just Poison Whip. Poison Whip can be an umbrella of different requests. Like I would just, if I'm a developer and I went through 2022 with everything that happened and I can't provide like let's be honest with where performance is right now. They've already said that they're not going to do new PvP systems until performance gets better. They already said that. And so we have to wait until the fall when they do their big performance thing in the fall. And then 6 months after that at the earliest, we could potentially get new PvP systems. So if we're looking at their timeline, the earliest we could potentially get new PvP systems, according to what they've said and how they've done everything, the earliest will be summer of 2024. And so if we're over a year away, a year and a half away from these new systems, why not just make stuff better? Why not just say, hey, we're listening. We can't do this stuff yet, but we can throw in better stats for Battlegrounds. We can throw in better rewards. We can change these things. This is stuff that we can control, and it's not hard for us to do, and it would allow us to allocate more time towards improving performance to where a year down the road we could actually introduce these new systems that you guys are requesting. This would show to veteran players, in my opinion, hey, we are listening. We do value retention because it is hurting our bottom line, and we want to change that. I don't care like what the reason is, but addressing if they're actually serious about this, then these are the things that they should be doing. And so that's my perspective on things. That's where I'm coming from in this regard. I want to see, obviously, like I'm gonna guess we're gonna get spellcrafting tomorrow. Like that's gonna be my assumption. They're gonna do some big chapter thing, and like that's gonna be awesome. It could potentially be awesome. Hopefully it's better than a card game. Hopefully that drums up some hype, but I want to see things that'll keep players in the game, because if you're not keeping players in the game, I like PvP as much as the next guy. Like the main reason I play ESO is PvP, but if there's nobody to PvP against, I'm not going to hop on. And that's the way it was going in the fall when I was hopping on. And so I want to see things that are going to show that people will consider staying on and playing longer, so that I can actually PvP against other players and get my ass kicked. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm going to kind of keep my eyes out for. I'm going to obviously do a thing on the chapter reveal. I will do the PTS stuff like always, and I'll provide my opinion. I'll test stuff on the PTS if the chapter looks worthy of playing, and I'll provide my thoughts and everything. And yeah, we'll just take it week by week, month by month, and see what happens. And yeah, hopefully we get good changes, and if not, I'll just keep playing New World and other games. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video here. If you guys have any questions or comments, or if you have your own opinions on what you would like to see as a player, please provide in the section below. As always, guys, we're different players. We have different opinions on things. Some of you guys really like this game because the game works for you, and that's awesome. For some of us, it doesn't, and we're just voicing our opinions. And the more players that enjoy different things, that are enjoying the game, the more money that's coming in ESO, the more chances we get of getting what we want. And so you should hope that more players are coming back to the game. So yeah, but I end that here. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.